Alrighty, fanboys and fangirls, on today's episode we're going to take a little dive into T-Mobile and take a look at their home internet, because there have been some reports coming around that there are some firmware issues being issued to their gateway, which holds, of course, the spectrum to give their home internet, and a lot of issues they had to fix in these firmware updates, and it does raise the question, is it as really bad as everyone is making it sound? So stay tuned to watch. Also on today's episode, both T-Mobile and Verizon are reportedly in the works of making new expensive 5G plans. And lastly, we're going to be talking about Samsung's foldable lineup. As I told you, it is replacing the Note. Well, the prediction has come true. It is officially happening, people. But there is also another phone in the mix. All that on today's episode, so stay tuned. YouTube, what's poppin'? Michael here, welcome back to Technoid. I hope you're doing well, hope you're all staying safe. Anyway guys, today's episode is going to be nice and easy, straight to the point, so I'm not going to bore you with the intro. So let's just get right to it. Like, comment, subscribe for more content. All that out of the way, let's get it go. Story number one, the main story, T-Mobile home internet. Now, as you guys know, I have covered T-Mobile on this channel. I have talked T-Mobile with tmobile Tech and tons of other cellular YouTubers, and I'm not afraid to dip my hat into this field, and I've been hit with my fair share of blows from the magenta pink thong wearers, so I'm not afraid anymore. But I have been very interested in their home internet project. While I do still feel it is a beta project that is now becoming public, I do see a lot of potential for it to grow. But I did want to bring to your attention a recent news story that I'm going to talk about and explain, do I really think it's that bad, the service as a whole. Now, they just released a firmware update this month, which displays a ton of issues that I didn't even know were happening with their gateway, but some of these issues are VPNs not working, party chats for Xbox not going through, tons of bugs that are in the gateways, and then of course, many other things that, you could just think off the top of your head. Now, these firmware updates are very minimal, so they usually update overnight when you're not using the internet, or at least when you go to sleep. That's how these things are designed. And the update number is 0718, and it will be rolled out to 35,000 devices within the coming month. Now, it does seem, a minuscule number, 35,000, but that's 35,000. That's still a substantial number for home users that are having home internet from T-Mobile. Now, why did I say, is it really as bad? Because this kind of highlights some problems that T-Mobile has had since they've rolled out this home internet. Not nationwide, but to vast majority of the United States. And when they first rolled this thing out, it was a beta. It was in select markets, they were testing it out, and for the most part, it did show some promises. T-Mobile Tech has documented his experience, and tons of other YouTubers have documented their experience with T-Mobile home internet. However, though, there is a problem. As they got closer to the official release, we started seeing more and more videos come out showing that the gateway was troubled, it was overheating. There were also problems with the speed as it then would start to throttle. It went from 50 to 25. Some people reported 12 down of the downlink, which is downloads in simple terms, and then the uplink upload was pretty much starting to take a dive. But recently, T-Mobile Tech and I had a discussion on his live stream, which I encourage you guys to check out his channel. He's a great YouTuber. And we talked about the home internet itself and experience. And Sneed's experience is just based off of that and all the evidence that I have to give my opinion. And I have used T-Mobile home internet, as my friends have in their house, because he is a college student and he cannot afford expensive, so he went with what was available. And I will tell you the truth, after using it for the duration of my visit, it has potential. But with that said though, it is not off to a good start. Now, I'm not going to bash T-Mobile, I'm not going to bash this, because I have been known to make some very critical errors of T-Mobile, which I still stand by to this day. But I don't want to beat the horse down. I want to instead promote a better interpretation. I know a lot of you guys from the T-Mobile Tech community do not like T-Mobile, and that is fair. But in my professional opinion, is it really that bad based off the evidence, everything? Personally, no. Because it could have been worse. It could have been Cox, for crying out loud. And no, not what you're thinking, you dirty, dirty people. Cox Internet, you dirty people. But it could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse with DSL. But at the same breath, it's definitely not as good as I'm seeing. Now, there are some users that have a better experience depending on your market, depending on your nearest cellular tower, and depending on how they, they spread out and evenly distribute the bandwidth. So it depends on where you live. But based on my experience, based on my interpretation, I personally would not buy it because I'm a heavy user. But I can see room for it to improve, and I definitely want to see this kind of product improve. When you look at Verizon and other people, what they're doing, they just run miles with their speeds, and it kind of saddens me that T-Mobile, they do claim and tout with their marketing that they have the fastest 5G and all that, and I'm here to tell you guys that's not the case. I live in New York, I have used T-Mobile, Verizon, and I am now getting my hands on AT&T, so I'll see how that is. But overall, home internet is a new thing for T-Mobile, and I really do want them to succeed. For $60 a month, it is competitive, it is compelling to some people, but it's not enough for me to say I would switch. And all the negative reviews are justifiable because these are user experience. This isn't something they're making up. But at the same breath, I'm not going to bash it heavily, as I do want to see it succeed, but I do urge T-Mobile, you really got to work on it, and with not just firmwares, but the capacity of your network. You have to improve capacity, but overall, you got to get these bolts and nuts twisted so that way, once you get the final product rolling nationwide, it'll then be good to go. And I think rural America is their aim, so we'll see what happens in the near future. Alrighty, story number 2, let's keep the flow going with cellular, as Verizon and T-Mobile are preparing to roll out expensive 5G plans. Now, this is something that we can obviously have seen coming a year ago. While 5G is still in its rollout state, and even though most carriers again are touting, oh, 5G this, 5G that, 5G, who cares? 5G is still being rolled out. It is available, but it is still being rolled out. We have 2 different types of 5G. DSS 5G, which is usually mid-band or higher end for most people, and then you got millimeter wave, which is the very tiny, and then of course sub-6, which is again, anyway, doesn't matter. I am too tired to extinguish the difference, guys. I'm sorry. But in all honesty, though, we kind of knew that Verizon was going in this route, as they have spent $10 billion to roll out C-band. $10 billion. Verizon is not afraid to invest in their network, and that is the sign of a good company. And not to say that T-Mobile doesn't, but they have a lot of debt they have to pay off first. But with that said, though, they are planning to invest $2 to $3 million more, as they are getting ready to try and get some kind of new type of 5G rolling in their direction. So taking a look at most of the leaks and rumors, you could see that Verizon is heavily spending, and they plan on spending another $2 to $3 billion by the end of the year. Whereas T-Mobile, they have generated 773,000 postpaid phones, and they are looking to add more customers as they go on, especially now that the Sprint merger has officially happened and they've migrated most of these customers. They're going to have to up the price to make and break, to also make back their investments that they put on the network. So this really isn't a shocker to me, but when we talk expense, how expensive are we talking? Are we going to be seeing tier plans? Are we going to see 5G, LTE? What are we going to see? And that is a very interesting question that I have in my mind. I think they're probably going to go with tiers like they've been doing. I don't think we're going to have LTE, because LTE is pretty much the backbone of 5G at this point, at least until 5G can really become its own thing. So I would expect them to price these plans around $70 to $80. This is my prediction. It might be a little expensive for a lot of people, but that's just my own personal opinion. And knowing Verizon, you do have to pay more along with T-Mobile and other carriers, but if they add value to their plans, then it's a different story. So comment down your thoughts down below. Comment and let me know, what do you think of the new plans reportedly in the works from both Verizon and T-Mobile? Do you think they're going to break $80 or more? Hell, maybe even $90, who knows? Let me hear your thoughts down below and what you think. And last story, the foldables. Now, I already talked about the Z Fold and Flip 3. I'm not here to discuss what I've already talked about. What I'm here to follow up is that it is now officially confirmed, or at least from a couple of news sources, that indeed the foldables are taking the place of the August release for Samsung. Now, I have said it, and Richard Jewell, I know you're watching me, and I know you are watching always in the background, but I told you so. You, my Samsung Knights, can fool me and tell me A and B, but you cannot delay the inevitability like Thanos.
I am inevitable.
In all seriousness though, Samsung has come out and announced, well, they didn't come out exactly, but a couple news outlets came out and said that Samsung is planning to release 3 smartphones in their place for a August event. Now, the 3 phones are, of course, going to be the Z Fold 3, the Flip 3, and then the long-awaited S21 FE edition. Now, the S20 FE edition was a very big hit with Samsung, and they seem to want to continue their path. Now, some reports are saying that it might be a Note 20 FE edition. We're still waiting on that to confirm, so it's possible, fingers crossed, that the Note might live to see another day. But it still doesn't change the fact that the foldables are now going to take up the August event, and now we've seen the fingers pointed at this sign. So you know what? It is what it is. But my only negative towards this is that I think that having 3 phones in one release cycle might be a little bit too much. Sure, I did complain that, they have 2 events already. I'm not saying for more events, but I would like to ask maybe you space it out, maybe give us a little bit more time. But I understand why they do it in August, and I get why they would. So I'm not really upset if they did that, but I think 3 phones at an event, especially in different price ranges, which is not a bad idea, very good for consumers, but might be a little bit too much to take in, especially for an event that, not a lot of people watch in the summertime anyway, because they're on vacation. And that is it for today's episode of Technoid. Now guys, really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit the like button. If you disliked the video, hit the dislike button to help circulate my videos as well. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next episode. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Take care, stay safe, have a great rest of your day, and